This is Donald Trump from Saturday afternoon on Truth Social. The month of February, my first full month in office, had the lowest number of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country in history by far. There were only 8,326 apprehensions of illegals by Border Patrol at the U.S.-Mexico border, all of whom were quickly ejected from our nation or, when necessary, prosecuted for crimes against the United States of America. This means that very few people came. The invasion of our country is over. The invasion of our country is over. In comparison, under Joe Biden, there were 300,000 illegals crossing in 1 month, and virtually all of them were released into our country. Thanks to the Trump administration policies, the border is closed to all illegal immigrants. Anyone who tries to illegally enter the U.S. will face significant criminal penalties and immediate deportation. The key there, as I said, the invasion of the country is over. Trump followed that up. Illegal border crossings last month were the lowest ever recorded. So the invasion is over, so says Donald Trump. Should we suspect that the invasion is over? I would say yes. 8,326 a month, 12 months. That's damn near 100,000 total for the year. That is a significant decline. And he's saying that they're getting kicked out when they enter. Now, for how long has the invasion been over? I would suggest much longer than 1 month. But these are the sorts of things we will learn about someday in the future. Again, I think that a lot of the stories that we witnessed over the last 4 years are things that are being rerun from history actually made in reality prior to that, much like the Ukraine war. For instance, I believe the immigration problem probably followed a very similar trajectory. And I think as one of the proofs of that, people should look back last year at the unipartisan compromise and the agenda for immigration that was not passed, blamed on Donald Trump. And then, nonetheless, the immigration problem began to rapidly decline, even within the central narrative, because the central narrative had already planned for a decline in immigration. They were just prepared to credit the unipartisan compromise with the decline in immigration. Instead, we can understand that the proper lessons to take about immigration are that the country must have enforceable borders so that we are not a borderless part of the global, international, rules-based liberal order. Now, the other thing about Trump noting that the invasion is over is that it takes away one of the pillars of Mike Johnson's new package. The entire idea was that he was putting together a package that would implement Trump's full agenda. And he had these 5 pillars. Elon Musk reposted it. Mike Johnson did a little video. But part of that was the agenda at the border. And Johnson suggested that they needed to pass a budget. They needed to pass new legislation so that the border agenda could be implemented. Well, does the border agenda need to be implemented now if the invasion is already over? No, it doesn't. Because of that, we should understand that the uniparty right in Congress and the MAGA-friendly members of the uniparty right, who are nonetheless rhinos, like Chip Roy, for instance, when they are pushing for this budget that it must pass, the continuing resolution must pass, we must sign an extension, whatever it is, it must pass because we need to implement Donald Trump's agenda at the border, they're lying, just like they've always been lying. The Congress and the Senate are not going to help at the border. They never have before. None of their legislation has ever helped. The border doesn't require Congress or the Senate to help with its enforcement. The president can do that. The state governors can do that. And they all should be doing that. So the invasion is over. Why then would we listen to any GOP congressman or senator telling us that the budget must pass to fix the immigration problem? Now, plenty of people who are supporters of MAGA will go along with that. They'll say, yeah, we need Trump's border agenda implemented. Really? Trump already said the invasion is over. Well, I don't care. We still need to make sure that these immigrants stay out. We need laws in place to be able to do that. What? Are they siding with Donald Trump or the uniparty right at that point? And why would they adopt beliefs like that if Trump says the invasion is over? Do they trust Trump? Turns out that in that situation, no, they don't. They actually trust the television. They trust the congressmen and the senators who can't even prove their own legitimacy in office, who sat there for the last 4 or 5 years, accepting everything the government did, accepting that Joe Biden received 81 million real lawful American votes, most of them. So why would we trust them? Because they say they're helping Donald Trump solve a problem that he says is already solved? This is one of the nuances of the uniparty understanding that absolutely must take hold, because these people are supporting the Uniparty while saying they're supporting Donald Trump. And because of people's concern about the immigration issue, they'll actually think that the Uniparty is going harder on the issue than Donald Trump is. Well, the Uniparty is saying we need to do something down at the border. And I understand that we really do have to do something down at the border. Well, Donald Trump says the invasion's already over. Which one do you believe? Oh, you believe the television, and you believe the congressmen and the senators because of the television, because all the mainstream podcasters, like the ones we saw at the White House last week, like Tucker and Bongino and The Blaze and the Daily Weimar and all of it, they all agree, got to pass this package so that we can take care of the border problems just like Donald Trump wants. Well, Donald Trump's made it clear that the invasion is over. The budget, initially we wanted one big, beautiful bill. The Senate, they need two bills. So that's impossible. Balance the budget. That's impossible. We heard Chip Roy say he might want a CR to go to June. And then Trump raised him and said, you know what? Let's just take it to September, the end of the fiscal year. Do they want that? Can the Republicans look good while passing a CR that funds the government for another 7 months and funds all those programs for another 7 months? I would suggest no. And so in Trump's messaging, message after message, he has made an impossible task for the GOP establishment in the Congress and Senate. And he made it more impossible by letting everyone know that the invasion is over, which means that the congressmen and the senators can't use that as leverage in the media, in the information war sense any longer to convince the American people to support what they're doing. So he's making the task harder while also making it so people are less likely to support them in the accomplishment of that task, which again makes the task harder. As far as I'm concerned, that seems like a very concerted effort to blow this thing up while keeping his hands completely clean. We don't want more continuing resolutions passed. We don't want more unaccountable spending in the federal government. And if we are able to get there on the 14th in 11 days, that would be quite nice.